special edition of Inside Nigeria here at the Leadership Podcast Studio. Happy Independence Anniversary to our viewers out there, and of course, happy Independence Anniversary to my co-host, Winifred Ogwebo.
Yes, happy Independence Anniversary. But I'm so overwhelmed. Nigeria is 61 years today.
Exactly.
And you know what that means.
It's no mean feat.
Yeah. Viewers out there, this is Nigeria's Independence Day. And we are happy to be broadcasting live from our Leadership Podcast Studio in Abuja. You're welcome.
Yeah, and of course, our guest is with us here, Jibrin Baba Ndache, an Abuja-based journalist and security affairs analyst. Good morning, Mr. Ndache.
Good morning, Bode and Winifred. Happy Independence to us and to viewers across the world.
Yes.
I think it's a very important day to us as Nigerians.
Yeah.
Like Winifred said, Nigeria is 61, and
Yes.
it's not a mean feat.
No
It's
mean
not.
feat,
I'm so excited.
So we all have to be excited because this is a country that a lot of people didn't give a chance. And the father is 61.
Yeah.
It's something to, and like I tell people, I belong to the class of people who today see the cup half full and not half empty.
Exactly. Half full,
That's
Yes.
the spirit.
but not half
That's the
empty.
spirit.
Yes.
That's the
So
spirit.
once again, we welcome you to this special edition of Inside Nigeria to mark Nigeria's independence anniversary. And of course, we have another guest joining us remotely, Jide Ojo, an Abuja-based public affairs analyst and a syndicated columnist. Good morning, Mr. Ojo. All right, probably Mr. Ojo has not hooked up to this program yet, but we hope to see him joining us. Okay.
Okay.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right, good morning, Mr. Ojo. Happy Independence. Thank you so much. Well, this is an unusual Inside Nigeria. We just flipped through the front page of Leadership alone to see what is in there in the president's speech to mark the Independence Day. And of course, Leadership today is Nigeria's first Friday newspaper in Nigeria, the Leadership Friday. On the front page of Leadership.
And we have leadership.
All right, Nigeria at 61, past 18 months, difficult in Nigeria's history. Nigeria at 61, past 18 months, most difficult in Nigeria's history, according to President Muhammadu Buhari, says high-profile financiers behind Kanu Igboho, fingers now member as IPO backer. Forest crisis, high inflation, poor electricity, mar economic growth. APC has taken Nigeria to pre-independence era, according to the opposition PDP. Let's unite for peace, progress. Lawan, Abdusalami, Atiku, others urge Nigerians at independence anniversary. In that you can see this is a potpourri of a story about Nigeria's 61st independence anniversary. But we are looking at the
headline, of course.
Yes, the main headline.
Angles by various newspapers like Leadership. I mean, leadership is it's about admitting challenges. But what is important? What are you doing to solve those challenges? And in the president's full speech, which I listened to this morning and I've read over and over again, about 101 paragraphs. Perhaps one of the longest speech of the president since he was elected. So, I mean, it speaks to all the issues that is known to us. Every Nigeria, the past 18 months, security, when you look at the concept of security from United Nations definition, concept of human security. We are not talking about fiscal security now, we talk about health security, water security, employment security, and all of that. The last 18 months have been most challenging. In terms of power security, you know, getting all the social services and all of that, because we were facing security challenge, and all of a sudden the world was locked as a result of COVID. And because Nigeria is not a country that is viewed like a barrack, and those are some of the issues that I raised during my discussions that the biggest lesson that Nigeria must learn from COVID is that Nigeria must build, the leaders must build this country as the way the military barracks are. You go to any military barrack, it's a settlement that you can get everything, at least to a large minimum that you can stay there for 1, 2, 3 years without going on. You are looking for a barber, you are looking for where there's Mami market, you're looking for what to do there. So a country like Nigeria, other countries in Africa should look up to us. We shouldn't look up to them. Because during COVID, every country was for itself. So even in time of platform, equipment, this is a time for us, even as we engage other nations, we must look inward. What are we doing with DICON? What are we doing in our health sector? What are we doing in our education sector? What are we investing in power? And how are all those things coming to fruition? You know, consistency, continuity, and completion of projects, these are all the things that also, no doubt the president said it all. The last 18 months has been very challenging. You can see since after the end of Cold War, the world interstate war have reduced. What is challenging the world now is global terrorism, internal strife, criminal non-state task force continuously weaken sovereignty of nation, and Nigeria is not far from it. 20 years ago, 15 years ago, somebody will tell you Nigeria will not be a suicide bomber. They'll like, no, it will not come to Nigeria. We only watch those things on TV, you know, but now you have criminal non-state actor, and most difficult, homegrown insurgency and terrorism is a big challenge all over the world because they are enemy among the people. The criminal is your brother, is your friend, is your neighbor. You don't know him, he's not wearing uniform. He lives among the people. He commits crime, sleep, you know, where many of them have double life. So it's very challenging, and coupled with COVID, because of the economic challenges and all of that. And looking at other issues raised by the president about high-profile financial, well, we don't know the information available to the commander-in-chief, and I hope that this naming and shaming will continue. It should not just stop. Anybody that is known or seen through investigation to be weakening our sovereignty and creating instability in the country must be named and shamed, and the law must take its course. You know, so and I'm also happy that well-meaning Nigerians have also raised their concern, the need for unity, peace. Senate President, former head of state, former President Atiku, and other Nigerians, everybody furthering the cause of peace. And it's very important. Leaders must be seen, you know, what they say matters a lot, like the president noted in his speech. You know, there are a lot of Nigerians who want to listen to what this leader said, whether it's going to be positive or negative. And I'm happy every one of them that is important, that have a huge followers, are talking about unity and progress of Nigeria. And I know they are not saying that. If you look at the statement of General Salam Abubakar and they are not saying that the country is perfect. A lot of work needs to be done. But they also say that, like other countries, Nigeria is a work in progress. It's an ongoing concern. And therefore, we must continue to further the cause of peace, unity, and progress, and own our country. Nobody will build our country for us.
Okay. Now we are moving over to Mr. Jide Ojo. Mr. Jide Ojo, are you hearing us? Hello?
I can hear you.
Yes. It's good to have you once again on our program. Now, looking at President Muhammadu Buhari's speech for Independence Day, what do you think is missing? What is your take on the speech today? And what do you think is missing from his speech?
Well, like my colleague over there have said, the president's speech, 36 minutes of it, is one of his longest speeches, longer than the one he gave last week at the United Nations General Assembly 76th session. He was able to articulate quite a number from COVID-19 to issue of insecurity to economy. But the missing link, if I would say, is one, issue of anti-corruption. I didn't hear anything being said about the war against corruption, how it's being fought, how issue of anti-corruption. I didn't hear anything being said about corruption. How it's been the issue about his take on a declaration of bandits as terrorists, which as a plea from the National Assembly. I should think that that would be one of the steps that will strengthen the war against insecurity. The president did mention issues of Petroleum Industry Act. He did say things about infrastructural development, but I didn't hear him say anything about the industrialization and the issue around energy, power, electricity. How much has his administration been able to achieve on that? So I, I think largely the president was long on rhetoric and short on statistics character. He was not able to give data between last year, October 1 and now. How many people are he taken out of unemployment? How many roads, roads have been completed? How many hospitals have been built? The issues around our health sector. Yes, he did mention the support to have Nigeria produce vaccine, but what about the industrial action by the medical practitioners, the doctors, resident doctors who have been on strike for about 2 months now? There was no mention of how he intends to resolve that. There was no mention of how many millions of people have been lifted out of poverty, how many employment he has been able to generate, how many kilometers of roads have been built or added to the one on ground. What is the intergovernmental relationship like right now? How is he intending to resolve the lingering elders farmers clashes, which has taken a lot of lives? So, the wider issue of even the clamor for equity, justice, and fairness, issues around restructuring of the country, whether we talk about fiscal federalism or we talk about, the clamor to reduce the cost of governance. What is the president's take on this? They were just missing. But as I've said on another platform, if I were to be the president, I will not want to be too specific because, as they say, the devil is in the details. And he knows if he gives wrong statistics, that will expose the vulnerability of his government. But I would have loved to see what he's doing in terms of intergovernmental relationship. Because whether we are talking of the fight against insecurity, we are talking about fight against corruption, we are talking about the fight about combating unemployment and poverty, the federal government alone cannot succeed because federal government needs the support of subnational government. And that is very key to deliver. Also, the proposed development plan, 2050 development plan, one would have loved to see or hear something being said along that path.
I don't know if you agree with the issues raised by
even
Mr.
before the
Ojo.
beginning of the program, we started analyzing as intellectual and critical thinkers. Every speech, every write-up has what you call aporia, absence, gaps, and that is also, no speech is perfect. And even in the area of security, I also noted because this is not the first time that we have heard about recruitment of 10,000 policemen, and that has not come to pass, you know, and so they are absent, and there will always be absent in speeches of presidents or governors or all of that. But I also found that he was specific in some areas. If you go to in the speech towards the, I think towards the end where he talked about the increment, the number of Empower graduate, Empower beneficiary from 500,000 to 1 million,
empowered,
you know, and empowered, homegrown, and all of that, and a lot of.
Sorry, if I may also chip in too, in terms of security. You know, the president also named and shamed the lawmaker that he said was backing.
Yes.
But apart from that, 3 days ago or 2 days ago, this week, we are talking about this week, both the law.
Security agencies, wherever they don't represent anybody. If you want a change, join a political party. This is democracy. It's not a military administration. This is democracy. If you want change, there is nothing bad between people wanting out of the country. It happens all over the world. You go to Spain, you go to even United Kingdom. But there is a way it should be done. If you attack a police station or INEC office, what do you want to achieve? You attack a policeman or other security forces. Is that their fault? If you want change, there is a way to go about the change that you want. You want out of the country? No. You go through referendum or other forces, or you continue to seek for better opportunity and space within a country. As we have done, you see political parties talking about where the
This should go, where this should go. Politics is about horse trading. It's about negotiation and dialogue. But this idea that will continue to heighten the security of the country, I think we need to move forward from that. We cannot continue to lament, and nobody will come and solve it. Late Professor Dore Akole that said that nobody will come and build this country for us. It is our responsibility. Anything you talk about now is not about President Muhammadu Buhari. By 2023 is going. And it's about us. You can be a governor of a state. You can. All of us were stakeholders, and even what we are doing here is our contribution. Leadership group and all of us as media, we should be with our family. But we are here talking about Nigeria, how it should be better. And I think that is the way to go. What is your contribution in your own small corner about moving this country forward? One, by pointing out what is not right. You should have the confidence and the courage to speak truth to power. without necessarily being abusive. This is what we are doing. The president's speech, he spoke about almost everything, but there are gaps. There are absence, there are aporias, and we are pointing it out so that in the implementation process, for instance, the issue of recruitment of 10,000 policemen, but then you know that this is not the first time.
Police commissioner said 20,000.
Yes, this is even not the first time we have heard about the recruitment of 10,000 policemen. We cannot honestly say that in the last 6 years there have been recruitment of 10,000 policemen.
I think we just started 2 years ago, so it will continue. For
yes, and even then, when you talk about recruitment, this recruitment is a value chain. What about accommodation and welfare? What is the existing structure of police barracks? And where will these officers will change? What are the problems? For instance, in the past, where mobile police unit, before you join mobile police, there are 13 rules and regulations. Is it being followed? What is recruitment? There are people who have argued that there are gaps in the recruitment process. Those who really want to join these services don't have opportunity. And rather, some highly placed Nigerians will just give lists. And by the time they are in training institution before they leave, they will be pointing to the commander where they want to serve. I will not go to, okay, if you are in the police or in the military, and you say you won't go to the Northeast, those who are going there, they don't have parents. They are Nigerians who, from all over, who want to join these services. These are the people that should be recruited, that love this job as a profession. Joining Nigerian forces or police is not a job. You must love it as a profession, just like journalism. Journalism is not a job. It's a profession. Many of us had options. We still have options. But our passion for the job is what keeps us on this job. That is the way the Nigerian forces are no, and those are the issues, even in the implementation, because there are issues. There are complaints that those who really want to join this job, and the people who are doing it are highly placed in Nigeria, who are sending lists. We are not saying you can't stop that. But if you are a senator or House of Rep member, go to your constituency and ensure those who really want to join this job, not job for the boys. Those in your constituency who want this as a profession, not some. There are people who have applied for 5 times, 4 times, 3 times. They want the job. These are the people that we must look at. And going forward, this is 61. There are Nigerians who don't have sense of belonging in this country. And even citizenship is about giving and take. If you want somebody to believe in a country, the country must give something back.
We will go to that. We will go to that, yes.
No, before we go, but I just have one comment to make, or one question to make. Given the president's speech, 101 paragraphs, now, and with all the holes that our analyst, Jide Ojo, picked, do you think now that the president's speech has met the expectations of Nigerians?
Yeah, of course. There are many Nigerians that will not even see any gap. And for me, what I always say as a literary critic is that for you to be able to criticize a poem or a work will have to exist first. If there is no speech of the president, there will be nothing for us to criticize. It's not a perfect speech, but certainly from paragraph 1 to 12, the president talked about the issue of unity, the need for us to be united. All those languages that unity is non-negotiable. This country is for all of us. He talked about almost everything that I talk about, they are absent. But even in the things that I talk about, these are the things, that's what I'm talking about. Even the unity, peace, and progress is not a given. It's not something that is just there. Countries work towards it. There are deliberate policies that countries work. Like I keep saying it. If, for instance, we can identify those who are working against the country, are we identifying those who love this country? For instance, you wake up, you say that there are 200 and something accounts of people who are using fake news. Have you identified 100 accounts of Bode or Winifred of Jibrin or several other millions of Nigerians who love this country and even put a machine down to say in the morning your WhatsApp message or your Facebook, there's a message, thank you on behalf of Nigeria. Are we doing that? There is a way. The process of building country is deliberate. It's not something that you just do and say you must love this country. No. Loving a country is giving and taking. And the point I wanted to make, Bode, you say somebody should love Nigeria. He graduated 5 years ago. Their circle is about 10 or 20. None of them, despite they are applying for job, none have gotten job. But they know that job is being, some people are getting job because they have some way.
So what are we talking about? We must build a country that gives every citizen sense of belonging. We are not talking about us here. We thank God.
We'll still come back to how to build a country. Let me ask, let me go back to Jide Ojo. Mr. Ojo, can you hear me? Now, we asked you earlier about the missing links in the president's speech, which you enumerated. Now, let's talk about what is inside the speech itself. Now, talking about insecurity, the president gave a scorecard saying about 8,000 Boko Haram fighters surrendered to Nigerian troops. He also said things suggesting there will be further crackdown on separatist groups led by Sunday Igboho and Nnamdi Kanu, who is in detention. Now, I don't know what kind of message is the president passing, because he didn't say anything about banditry in the Northwest, where policemen are being killed, soldiers are being killed, innocent Nigerians are being killed. And he didn't also say what we are going to do as a nation with the over 8,000 Boko Haram that surrender. What are we going to do with them? So, in your own estimation, what kind of message is the president passing?
Again, I want to appreciate my colleague Dato for his lucid
Mr. Jide, are you hearing us?
I can hear you. I can hear you. So, what I'm
All
saying...
right, let me come again. Earlier we asked you about what is missing in the president's speech, which you enumerated. Now we want to talk about what is here inside the speech itself. Now the president spoke about overcoming insecurity. He gave a scorecard that over 8,000 Boko Haram fighters surrendered to Nigerian troops. He also said things suggesting that there are further crackdown on separatist groups led by Sunday Igboho and Nnamdi Kanu. But then, there are nothing about banditry in the Northwest, where policemen and innocent Nigerians are being killed on a daily basis. Then he didn't say anything about what Nigeria is going to do with the over 8,000 Boko Haram who surrendered. So, in your estimation, what kind of message is the president passing to the public?
You know, but that's also the million-dollar question. What is the...
There's technical hitch. There's technical hitch. Okay. Our security analyst can answer that. Mr. Dachi.
All right. We're having a challenge with connection with Jide Ojo, but when he returns, we also hear from him. Now, let me come to Mr. Ndachi. You had the question I posed to Mr. Ojo. What is your take on that?
Yeah, like we said earlier, no speech is perfect, and of course I have also been a speechwriter, and it's not a work of one person. You know, you can see each MDAs and all of that will submit synopsis or summary of the achievement, and then a whole team will be incorporated and analyze all of this speech. I was part of the team, at least as state government at a certain level. So it's not perfect, but I agree with you. Nigerians will have looked forward to hearing the president talk about what will be done about Boko Haram members, because you can see a lot of Nigeria, it's a welcome development, because at the end, whatever you talk about insecurity, we want it to end, you know. So, and that is why initially I said the war amongst the people is very dangerous. These criminals are our brothers, they are our citizens. They are not, we are not fighting interstate war. That is why the danger is so, you can see even the governor of Borno raised concern about it. So Nigerians will have wanted to hear about the president, what to be specific, but I hope maybe he has left that to the state government to come up with a plan on all of that, because I am one of those Nigerians who feel that even the current step taken by this through Operation Safe Corridor of just pampering some surrender Boko Haram and then releases them in the society. You recall the interview of Senator Ali Ndume about his concern and all of that. Because the insecurity in the Northeast is not over. So releasing some of these people, while people in IDB camps are still suffering and all of that. So government have to rethink. You know, what are the learned lessons in the Operation Safe Corridor? What are we going to do differently? You know, and how are we going to relate in terms of de-radicalization and reintegration of these people? So it's a whole issue. I also hope that because I know there are specific steps that I expected should be in the speech, because there is a deliberate firepower in the northwestern part of the country. You know, the shutdown, air, ground operation, all the security forces, the Naval Sea, Special Boat Service of Nigeria, similar to what you have in the US, they are all embedded in the northeast, and so far they are over 800 of Boko Haram that have been eliminated within this short period, you know, and that impact is even felt in other states like Niger now because of the firepower on this. So I also expect that such messages will have been there. Even yesterday, the defense headquarters gave a lowdown of the last the September, and all this monthly briefing. The lines, the telephone lines are still shut down, and all of that. So, and he also called on security agencies to do more. You know, a lot is being done, but we want more done. This is the time to be decisive and, if necessary, ruthless. Like I mentioned earlier, we are not dealing with petty thieves. We are not dealing with petty thieves or even petty armed robbers. As criminal, and some of them have human feeling, but you are dealing with people who have no respect, even in war. You look at International Convention of War, one of the law is that you don't touch old people, you don't touch a woman. And that is why I even fault some of our civil rights and human rights activists. You can't talk about the right of somebody who have no respect for people. International Convention about war is that even interstate war, you don't attack soft targets like places of worship, hospital. You don't attack school. You don't attack old people. You don't arrest. But these people, you rape women. You take them as hostages. You recruit child soldiers and all of that. And then when the military and other security forces are dealing with them, some Nigerians, as if they are siding with this criminal, will say there is no human. How can there be human right when this person has given up his own human right by taking up arms against the state? There's no rule of engagement in unconventional warfare. No rule of engagement, respect for human life at all.
Let me go back to Jide Ojo. All right. Now, Jide, Nigeria clocks 61 today. Where do you see Nigeria in another 61 years from now? I think we're still having challenges.
Are you hearing us?
All right. So, Ndachi, let me still come back to you. Where do you see Nigeria in another 61 years from now?
I'm very hopeful. I have never, because beyond the reading, have people, family running into 3 generations that have served the country within the military forces and all of that. So my commitment to Nigeria is, I have no doubt I believe in this country, and having the privilege of studying other countries and also visiting other countries that have similar challenge and come out of it, or our ongoing concern, I'm very hopeful about Nigeria. But there are steps that we must take, deliberate steps. One of it is that I give example of Rwanda and Kosovo. I've been to all these countries, not just as a visitor, but I've studied these countries and I have opportunity of interacting with stakeholders of that. We must we must build a narrative around our challenges, you know, so that we don't leave histories to circumstance. For instance, do we have a national monument that younger Nigerians can visit beyond the stories from our parents or grandparents or those who fought in the Civil War and all of that, that you can visit to say, okay, this is what we went through. It's not the way to go again. You go to Rwanda, there's a genocide memorial. They are not saying that the Rwandans should go that way. They are saying that, look, you have a sense of history. When you go there, all genocide around the world, you go through all the history, pictures of events and circumstances and all of that are there, so that the younger generation will know, look, there is no peace in war. War is not the way to go. Now we hear our elders talk about it. For so many of us Nigerians, unless you have direct relation, if you say war is bad, But you cannot, there's no war memorial. Nobody knows the history of the Civil War apart from bits and pieces. They want a national owned by the country. I'm not saying book written by one actor or the other. We must do that. Secondly, there must also be a deliberate step by the government to build a nation that give all Nigerians sense of belonging. Like I said earlier, you cannot tell somebody to love Nigeria, to be a citizen, when he knows that there is a circle. 20 of them graduated from a public school. None of them, they have been applying. None of them, one, have gotten job. But they know people are getting job through other means. And you expect them to be very patriotic? No. They will not be patriotic. They feel that the country has abandoned them. That is one. Two, other countries don't build the sense of nationhood in absence. They build it deliberately. They reach out to citizens from every level, primary, secondary, up to university. You don't just say you must be. No. What are you doing in primary, in secondary school? I know yesterday I bought flags. When I got home very late in the night, I bought 4 flags for my 4 children. And and all of them were excited. I mean, it doesn't mean it's a symbolism. It doesn't mean, and they said they are going to take it to school on Monday. So they are going to inculcate something. I buy ice cream the other time, but that yesterday I went with Nigerian flag. Nobody gave it to me. Are we as a country, is government dividing flag to schools, to offices? How many flags are they sent to leadership or all media houses? Send it, let even people say no. This country, our leadership, we are not building a structure that give a institutional structure that give citizens at all level. And I'm not talking about federal government, federal, state, and local government. We must reinvent our country. There must be a sense of narrative that gives citizens serious sense of belonging. You know, through storytelling, through activities that give people a serious sense of, and that must be consistent. That must be this. And then finally, Bode and Winifred, you look at most countries, especially Asian countries, and my advice based on my study of Asian countries, particularly Indonesia, is that Nigeria should look to Asian countries than the West for solution. These are countries that are close to us in terms of diversity and dynamism. And these countries are not master of grandeur. They solve their problem bit and pieces. That is one. Two, they have development plan. You have countries now, and when they have it, whether it's one party or the other, you can't go below that baseline. In everything, economy, power. For instance, in power now, we've been talking since 1999 about power generation have not gone beyond 5,000 megawatts. What are we talking about? Is it rocket science? If you are following one road, it's not working, take the other one. There are other alternatives to power generation. Now, every step we should take now going forward is towards self-sufficiency. Nigeria should make itself a country that people look up to. Then finally, as a country, we must build a country where other countries look up to us. When you are going to India today, even for tourism, the first people, are you okay? Are you, and what is wrong with you? Are you going for medical tourism? Tell me one thing that now anybody will live and say, this is a product that is bringing me to Nigeria. In our younger days, you see, you in the universities, you hear your uncle and brothers all study with people, lecturers from other parts of the world, all within university.
Mathematics
teachers and all of that. Now,
my secondary school, I had a white woman.
Yeah, so what are we doing? What will you say, okay, let's start with West Africa. This is one thing that will make people from West Africa. Even a country like Nigeria has no national carrier. What are we talking about?
We continue the discussion. We need to go on a short break. When we come back, we still discuss where Nigeria will be in the next 61 years. And of course, we are with our analysts, Jibrin Baba Ndachi and Jide Ojo, both Abuja-based public affairs analysts. We'll be back shortly. who clock in 61 years today. So where can we see ourselves in the next 61 years?
Well, no, you are trying to make me play Nostradamus.
The man who see tomorrow.
I don't see Nigeria. I believe where we'll be in the next 61 years will likely depend on our leadership. Leadership recruitment is very key. Once we get the leadership recruitment right, every other thing will fall in place. We will start going to the space. We will become more innovative, more resourceful, more prosperous as a country. The moment we allow equity, justice, and fairness to be our guiding principle, there will be peace and there will be progress. You know, the whole essence of this instability and banditry stems from lack of equity, justice. Okay, a Fulani header whose cattle was rustled, nobody attempted to compensate him or bring to justice those who stole his cattle. He's trying to avenge the theft of his cattle, so he goes into banditry. The farmer whose crop was grazed upon, nobody thought about how he is going to survive, feeding his family. So the moment we are able to, and that's why I look forward to a restructured Nigeria. Restructuring, I've said in my column, let me give you a very good example. If we are able to do this, you will see that we'll be more prosperous. Last week in my column, I took up the issue of borrowing, external borrowing. That are there no alternative to this borrowing? And I charted what I believe. Although part of the president's speech hinted that there's the infrastructure that he wants to initiate the establishment of a company. I talked about public-private partnership. I talked about the need to reduce the number of ministries, departments, and agencies. The need to reduce the number of parliamentarians. Let me shock you, buddy. The population of US is 350 million estimated, but they have only 15 secretaries. Secretaries are their own equivalent of our own ministers. Why do we need 43? With all the aides that don't even have offices. We can streamline that. Do we need 109 senators? When the entire US has only 100 senators, as big as California is, as big as Texas is, as small as Vermont and Alaska is, they have 2 senators representing them. Why do we need 3? Why do we need 3? Why does the Constitution of Nigeria, Section 91, says that there must be minimum of 24 members and maximum of 40 members of State House of Assembly? Why? Now, Kano, with 44 local government, have to collapse some local government to present 1 rep in their state assembly. Because the Constitution said you can't go beyond 40. But Bayelsa, with 8 local government, making up its own state, will have to even subdivide each of the local government to 3 to meet that constitutional requirement. Ekiti State has 16 or 17 local government. Why must it be 24? Why are we wasteful? That is, if we can reduce the culture of waste. Section 147 of the Constitution is saying the president must appoint minimum of 1 minister per state. This is an era of constitutional amendment. Can we amend the Constitution to say, look, you need maximum of 18 ministers. Let it be on each of the geopolitical zone producing 2 ministers each, and that can be rotated. After all, INEC, the 12 commissioners in INEC, they are representing regions. They are representing regions. We didn't say because we want equity for INEC, all the states must be represented in INEC. So these are some of the thoughts I feel that if we are dispassionate about, that look, equity and justice must triumph, and we reduce the cost of governance, and we are able to shore up reduce the poverty level. That's what the missing statistics I was talking about in the president's speech. How many? You are talking of 100 million in 10 years, 100 million people out of poverty in 10 years. How many have we succeeded in getting out of that poverty? How have we reduced unemployment from 33%?
They told us that inflation is reducing, but inflation is reducing at a very slow rate, and it's not impacting. What is the purchasing power of Naira? The power, Naira today, if you want to buy a fairly used Tokubo car, as we call it in local parlance, even the worst one, you may get it, you'll be lucky to get a rugged one for 1.5 million. How many people have that in their savings? So there is a national challenge that we must rise above. But let's start with reducing the cost of governance, and it's doable. Look, the Pope, who is Vatican Church, whose adherent Catholics are 1.3 billion, does not have a private jet. The Pope flies Alitalia, which is the official airline of Italy. He could afford a private jet if he needs, but he flies Alitalia. Why is our own president having 6? And at the end of the day, you will say you're voting 3.5 billion for travels. You are voting for welfare. What is welfare? So if we don't, these are money we're borrowing. Recall that our budget is in deficit.
Being spent on frivolities,
exactly.
not infrastructure.
So what I'm saying is that for Nigerians to be sympathetic to their leaders, my brother Edache said something. He said, look at the frustration. Somebody graduated from in NC, in FRS, in NC. And you and I, children, they will say, oh, there is a teaching appointment available, come and take. Even if they want to come out to get even to get into police. I took that issue up with the National Commissioner in Nigeria Police Service Commission of corruption within, even to recruit members of the Nigerian police. We need to deal with this issue. Nigeria 61 is an underachiever. Yes, we are not where we ought to be, but we are not where we used to be. So Nigeria in the next 61 years depends on how our leaders handle the state affairs. And I hope we can get our elections right. Once our elections is gotten right and we cease to have disputed election, and leadership recruitment is very transparent and accountable, and people who make business are the one we are electing into office, and we are able to oversight them to make sure that they do the right thing, I see Nigeria glorious, greater Nigeria in 61 years' time.
Yeah, in fact, you and Ndache agreed on all the issues. You spoke about leadership recruitment and our political structure, which is not sustainable as we speak. You also spoke about creating a sense of belonging for all in order to engender national unity, for all to believe that yes, we truly belong to Nigeria. But that brings to mind, Ndache, the issue of leadership again. Our leaders find it difficult to match words with action, to match action with words. Yeah. I remember in 2015 when President Buhari came in, he told us that his government would be a departure from the PDP era. There will be, he will cut cost of governance and the rest of them. And initially he appointed lesser number of ministers compared to the PDP era. But a few years into the tenure, for political expediency, yes, he has to up everything. Yeah. Even the office of the first lady that he said he will not entertain now, even has budget, spending money. So I don't know. Is this another issue? Matching words with actions.
But I always tell you that I have the hindsight of having also served in government, even though at state level. Yeah. There is a particular experience that remained very profound to me when I was a Chief Press Secretary to when he came on board, he focused on completing projects started by previous administration. So even some water projects since 1999 started by late engineer Kure. And I recall some people saying, how can you do project? You see, my brother Sajide said something. When you talk about leadership, you also talk about followership. What is our expectation for our leaders? And when our leaders want to take the right step, do you support them? Do we also embrace the same people? Just like Chenua Achebe's Auntie of the Savannah. the same Nigerians who want change, when some leaders want to take appropriate steps to ensure that those changes brought about, the same Nigerian followers that will also, punch leaders the step that they take on some of these issues. Even not only the president, even the state, some state commissioners are not divided according to local government as it used to be, even in Niger, just to cut costs. We must think differently. And I also, one thing in addition to what you say is that, for instance, this infrastructural infrastructure, this is a project, this is something that should have been from the first time of the president. Let us be very frank. This should be not something that is towards the end of the administration. It should have been early part of the administration. Anybody who have this idea to bring a part of the team, it should have been early. Because we all know that Nigeria has infrastructure. Solving problem is not just a short-time thing. So, and I also feel that leaders must be firm. Once you make promise, it's a covenant, not just with the human being that have voted you, but with your creator. You have a responsibility not just to those who elect you, but to your creator, who gave you this opportunity to serve the people. That is very important at all levels. Because even in terms of project, there are people who feel that this administration is not fair to. Niger State is one of them. Niger State, you talk to many Nigerians, they feel that the last 6 years of this administration is not fair to Niger State. It is the largest state in Nigeria, almost the size of the Southwest. No one federal road has been completely constructed. The road, even the one from Lambata to Bida, which is not less than about 100 kilometers, the minister has been promising since 2015 up to now, it has not been done. So linking Niger with rail, so we need to talk about even the federal capital. But then when you talk about the national security architecture of a country, if there is any emergency in Abuja now, there is nowhere for citizens to go, because we have only one-legged means of going out. No rail line linking Lokoja, no rail line linking Mina, no rail line linking Lafia. So if there is any challenge for mass movement of people out, there is only one means of transportation. Even in terms of emergency, no any airport that you can say, okay, the airspace is challenged, and therefore you divert the nearest Mina, which is the runway, is not put in space by the federal government. So we need, going forward, we should not see doing project for state as if it's a favor. We must look at, for instance, all these states I've mentioned. There should be a deliberate step by the federal government to empower those states, link up so that you can free the federal capital and link it up in time of, in their security challenge, people can easily move and all of that.
Well, a lot of things are involved in order to actually engender national development. Many thanks to you, Jibril, in that share. And of course, you be on a special edition of Inside Nigeria this morning. We hope to see both of you on this show, particularly in that chain. We hope to see you on Monday when Inside Nigeria will return. And of course, from here, many thanks to my co-host, Winifred Ogebo. My name is Bodi Badibo. Bye for now.